We are excited to start a whole new series on just really beginning to build our skills when it comes to um, understanding the challenges, the different health challenges that people have. And so are being able to have some really good talking points of how Juice Plus plays a role in people's health. And so I'm really excited. I just got back in town from Uganda last night, so I'm feeling a little bit behind the gun, but Brenda and I spent some time last night just really kind of digging in and saying, how can we keep building tools for our team to grab a hold of when going out and talking to people? So we're going to hear some from Brenda, myself, also Karen. Brenda and Karen both had autoimmune diseases. So I'm so glad that they're going to share today kind of their own experience, the impact that Juice Plus has had on them. But hopefully we can kind of connect the dots. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you where you can go to really get all this information. This is our team. If you look here, you can see HTTPS. You can also get this link off of our Team Extreme website, but teamextreme.dropmark.com. That's where you go. And that is, let me go back to show you where you go once you get in here. So this is what it's going to look like. And let me move us out of the way. Okay, and then come down here to tools. And we'll make sure we have the links showing up. And then you can see what we want to do as a team is really begin building all these different areas of health challenges. And then we're going to take a look at Juice Plus's research. How does that connect to that particular disease? And so we're starting out with autoimmune. And I'm trying to get this centered so you all can see it. So forgive me for not being a little more prepared there. So if you see here, you can see that Brenda's gonna tackle this talking points that we have when we're sharing or talking with someone with autoimmune disease. So she's really gonna educate us on those great talking points. We've got fabulous recordings that you can come right here and grab on this specific topic. Look at, and one of them to date, this was awesome. It was Karen Farrell, Shelley Black, Ann Shara, and then Dr. Trin Tran talking about autoimmune disease. There's been over 1,000 people have watched this particular video. So to me, it's my go-to immediately when I'm talking to someone and I know that they have autoimmune disease. And there's another similar one that's a little more recent that we've done. There's one from our Revolution series, and there's one specifically on Hashimoto's. And then again, Dr. Candace Corson. And there, if you want just a short one, is Karen's eight-minute personal testimony of the Impact Juice Plus. And then we have another one here. So to me, this is such a great resource for us. We also have just what Dr. Mitra Ray put together on the timeline of Juice Plus. And right off the bat, it starts with inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause to autoimmune diseases. Then I'm going to take a few minutes, and these are the 4 studies that have been done on Juice Plus that relates to inflammation, which is the root cause of autoimmune disease. I'm going to kind of break those down for us. And then Karen, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we'd love to hear from you as well. Just kind of sharing your experience having all the autoimmune disease that you had and the personal impact that Juice Plus has had on you. So what we want to do is literally arm you guys with great information when it comes to autoimmune disease. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Brenda and let her kind of begin making that connection from inflammation, autoimmune disease, fruits and vegetables. So take it away, Brenda.
Sure. Well, basically, when you have an autoimmune disease, your body is attacking itself. And it's just some history with autoimmune. Women are 3 times more likely to be affected than men. It's the 8th leading cause of death for American women ages 15 to 64. Diet, but the good news is that the diet can significantly impact autoimmune diseases, both to promote it and to reduce inflammation levels in the body. There was so much information, and I've got some really cool information from T. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study on diet and immunity. So maintaining a healthy gut, which we talk about a lot, is essential if you have an autoimmune disease, because the gut plays a crucial role in the immune system regulation. Processed foods and sugar, remember, sugar's the enemy, can exacerbate inflammation and worsen whatever conditions you're dealing with. But a whole food diet can reset a deregulated immune system. And I think that's something that both Karen and I have truly experienced with Juice Plus. Plants are naturally anti-inflammatory and high in fiber, and they contain none of the additives that are found in highly processed foods. Whole plant foods contain phytonutrients, which we talk about a lot, that can act as antioxidants and exert anti-inflammatory effects, which may reduce and prevent, and that's such an exciting thing, prevent autoimmune symptoms. Eating more plant-based foods, which is Juice Plus, is associated with lower levels of inflammation, a more balanced gut immune response. Consuming anti-inflammatory foods such as whole plant foods and omega-3 fatty acids, which is our omegas, is equated with lower immune disease risk and fewer symptoms. Also, one of the things they talked about that I found in 3 different places, ensuring adequate vitamin D, either hopefully from at least getting outside, at least some during the day, and also taking a vitamin D supplements and omega-3 intake is equated with lower immune disease risk and fewer symptoms if you have the disease. It was interesting when I went to T. Colin Campbell's website, he had a whole article on autoimmunity and diet. Is there a connection? And he says that autoimmune diseases, including Crohn's disease and type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, affect 14.7 and 23.5 million people in the United States, and their incidence is on the rise. And that recently, markers of autoimmune have increased significantly since 1998, particularly with young people, which is really scary. When they talked about as young as 15 years old, they're discovering that 15-year-olds are dealing with autoimmune disease. So he had 6 different points that I thought were really interesting. First one was cow's milk, which we all know dairy is one of the things that T. Colin Campbell says was never intended for patients. He says cow's milk is by far the most commonly linked is most commonly linked to autoimmune disease. And he suggests that people avoid cow's milk products in all their forms. And we know that if you have congestion, if you have skin issues, if you have those kind of things, that it's because of dairy almost always. And I remember Aaron's husband, Lauren, was so ill when they first found out about Juice Plus, and was having a lot of issues. And when he went off of cow's milk, it was amazing how much his health improved radically and quickly. Second, avoid other components of a Western style diet. This is number 2, which means avoiding meat, a lot of seed oils and dairy, which I've already mentioned, and plenty of fiber and green, yellow, and orange vegetables. Isn't that exciting? Third, infant nutrition and breastfeeding may play a role So he encouraged every mom to do everything they can do to breastfeed, which is another personal conviction of mine. Fourth, get outside and get in sun without burning and stay active. Again, with the vitamin D. Don't smoke. Of course, we know that's according to Dr. Du Bois, that smoking is the absolute worst thing that you can do for your body. And six, include some sea vegetables in your diet now, and the use of iodine, or even actually Celtic salt, which I found at Costco some wonderful snacks that have seaweed in them, and they're really tasty and they're kind of spicy. So, I just thought there were some really great practical things that we can do with our diet, and just with, lifestyle choices to prevent and reduce the symptoms. Elaine, is there?
Are you finished? Okay. All right. Great. Sorry about that. All right. So I wanted to kind of really take a look at our research. And a lot of times we overlook the research that we have on Juice Plus. And whenever we're able to communicate it, I think it really just puts a lot of validation on our Juice Plus product. And so we have it, let's take advantage of it. And so if you back to this under the tools section, I'll get back here and kind of show you how it, once you get into, once again, you come into our team website, scroll down to tools, and then, under tools, we're talking about autoimmune, and all the points that Brenda just gave you, they're there. I'm going to literally print it out myself this week and really kind of get those points that she just mentioned in my head, so that as I'm talking to people, I can immediately share some of those. But if we come to, go ahead.
Extreme website too. I'll copy that to put on our Team Extreme website.
Perfect. So if you look under, I went to my landing page, and then under research is where I pulled these actual studies. So if you click on this study, which this one is the effects of fruits and vegetables based on nutraceutical biomarkers of inflammation and oxidation. And I just remember Dr. Du Bois always saying all diseases across the board, you can trace back to inflammation and oxidation. And so if you come here, click on that, it's going to pull you into the abstract. And so for this one, as I read through it, I loved, uh, I highlighted just a few key things in this. Number one is just the positive effect of polyphenols on plant foods when it comes to inflammation and oxidation. And I love that if you read throughout this, just in 16 weeks time frame, the impact, and then they do a washout period, so they can't claim it on anything. So they'll put them on Juice Plus and put people on a placebo. 16 weeks in, they flip those people around. So the people who were taking a placebo started taking Juice Plus. The people taking Juice Plus went to a placebo, and then they just watched their numbers do this. And so that's key when you track it back to the validity of the research. But I loved midway through, it says it showed significant decreases in when they did that switch to the people who, when they moved them back on the placebo, or the people who they moved on to Juice Plus. It went on to say that just how it improved both inflammation and oxidation biomarkers. So not only are we having an impact on autoimmune diseases, but all diseases across the board. And then the last thing there, if you see where it says, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I looked it up because I had never heard of catecholamines. I'm sure I butchered it. So I looked it up and I'm like, what even is that? And it is neurohormones that play a critical role in the response to stress processes. And that's what adding all that nutrition is going to do, it reduces our response to stress. So having just a few little key nuggets, and not that we have to fully understand all the research, but pulling out a few key nuggets like that when talking to people is huge, because what we're doing is we're bringing validation to our product. And the fact that Juice Plus does research, it is beyond, let alone getting amazing responses in 16 weeks. So here's another one. This was on anti-inflammatory and oxidant capacity of fruits and vegetables. This is another study. And what jumped out at me on this one was it was talking about, which I don't even know, I didn't even know what, let me get down here to where it said this oxylipins. I didn't know what that was. So I researched, we got everything's at our fingertips now. And it's the fatty acids that are getting oxidized. So this one was kind of talking about and referring to, the oxidation when you see people's cholesterol, the impact that it has on a cholesterol. And I remember years ago hearing a doctor say, cholesterol's not a bad thing to have in our body. It's when the inflammation is so high and it's impacting and damaging our oxidation. It's that LDL oxidation um, um, that's so bad. And what Juice Plus does is it protects. So when it brings down the inflammation in our body and it protects our cholesterol from oxidizing. And the link between oxidation and inflammation to autoimmune is huge. And so that's the talking points for us, is knowing that Juice Plus reduces that oxidation and inflammation in our bodies. And if you look at the last bit here where it says long-term consumption of this nutraceutical Juice Plus with high polyphenol content improves inflammation and oxidation parameters measured in the individual's urine. So just knowing that we can speak so confidently about Juice Plus because we have this kind of research being done. And I'm going to hit the other two more. This one is on low-grade chronic inflammation. And that's what we want to reduce. And this one, I loved if you scroll down to where it says the conclusion. The fruit, vegetable, and berry, those are our 3 capsules. Didn't even add the omegas, which I know would drive it down further. But just the trio provides a combination of active ingredients that synergistically affect multiple modalities of low-grade chronic inflammation to help improve blood circulation, energy levels, and lower muscle soreness. So 4 different things that this particular research study did. And so I think just what I would encourage you to do is exactly what I did, is print these out. And this week, and we're going to get to this after we hear from Karen, we're going to do a little bit of planning for how do we take this information we're learning today and immediately implement it. All right. And then there was one more study that was done. And this one was the effects of encapsulated fruit and vegetable concentrate on obesity-induced systematic inflammation. And the things that really kind of jumped out to me as I read this abstract is to reduce the systematic inflammation. That's that damaging inflammation going on day in and day out in our body. We want to reduce our inflammation load. And the impact that it has on, let's see, I got to make sure I'm doing the right one, polyphenols. And it talked about the chronic disease. Here we go. Other risk factors for chronic disease in overweight and obese adults. And it's that chronic is what really begins to tear down our system over time. And at the end, let's see. Therefore, this one was only the fruit and vegetable. Doesn't even include the berry blend. The Juice Plus concentrate improves the metabolic profile by reducing systematic inflammation and blood lipid profiles, thus being useful in reducing the risk of obesity-induced chronic disease. And, that's what autoimmune disease is a chronic disease. And so I'm going to challenge you guys to get in here. Don't shy away from this research because you can pull out from those abstracts just key phrases when talking to somebody and taking them and showing them the research that's been done on Juice Plus. You show me another product that has the enormous body of research. So when you're thinking of autoimmune disease, make that connection between inflammation and autoimmune disease. That's that underlining cause of autoimmune disease. So utilize what we have here, the talking points that Brenda went over, and now you've got them right there as you go into this section, as well as I have shared Karen's story many times, and especially the stories of hope with Dr. Tran Tran in there, Karen, Shelley, and Ann sharing autoimmune diseases. So let me stop the share and I'm going to pass that off to Karen. We'd love to hear from somebody who has such a remarkable story when it comes to autoimmune disease. So share whatever you have for us.
Well, I thought you guys know I have 8 issues. Not all of them are autoimmune, but ironically, when you have autoimmune, you tend to also get these subbars. And just like fibromyalgia used to be considered a connective tissue disease, now it's considered autoimmune. So eventually they'll probably meld everything into the same category. But you tend, so my issues are, one was the fibromyalgia. I had the Hashimoto's thyroid disease, interstitial cystitis, which isn't autoimmune. But again, it's one of those diseases that if you have autoimmune, you tend to get that. I have irritable bowel, same story, Sjogren's, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. Did I miss any? I think I did. But anyway, you get the picture that, if you get one, you tend to get other issues as well. So I'd start with the Hashimoto's. It again attacks your body. And so when your cells attack your healthy cells, your body attacks your healthy cells, thinking it's going to the right part to solve a problem. And they aren't. So they're causing more problems. So it attacked my thyroid. And so without medication, I don't have thyroid function. And the disease can affect you either hypo or hyper. Hypo is underactive thyroid and hyper is overactive thyroid, and it can vacillate back and forth, and you just have to fix that through the medication. So like on the symptoms of all of that are fatigue, which I had, weight gain, increased sensitivity to cold, joint and muscle pain or stiffness, pale, dry skin, puffy face, hoarse voice, constipation, elevated cholesterol, depression, forgetfulness, and memory problems. Those are just some of the things that you can get with just one of my issues. And I had basically all of those. And so the the Raynaud's, I didn't mention that with the Raynaud's is restriction of blood flow. So you get spasms of your small arteries cause episodes of reduced blood flow to the end of the arteries. Anyway, it causes your fingers to go totally white, no blood flow. It's like when you have a rubber band on your finger and you tighten it and your finger turns white and it gets kind of painful. That's what it does. And I can do it by holding my shake in the morning. I get it. and then it takes hours for it to go away. So I just try to, that's why I'm here in Florida, because I avoid the cold. Because Raynaud still is something that I don't suffer with like I used to. Like I couldn't even get in a bath of water. Um, and I couldn't tell if it was hot or cold. So this is a much improved. And I'll get it if I, hold super cold things for a while. It just triggers that blood flow restriction. Um, Sjogren's, it primarily affects the body's endocrine glands, particularly the lacrimal, and it's found in the eyes and the salivary glands. And what it does is it just makes everything dry, super dry, like your mouth. I'm always drinking water because I'm so thirsty all the time. And it makes my nose dry, my eyes dry. But again, with Juice Plus, especially when I added the omegas, that helped immensely because the omegas help with the eyes, but just the dryness and it in the skin, it helped heal all of those cells in my body. So I don't really suffer terribly with that anymore. The rheumatoid arthritis attacks healthy cells and tissues, and they're located in the joints. The symptoms are chronic pain in the bones, muscles, or joints, or the connective tissue. So it's kind of like widespread and it is painful. Doesn't go away. You definitely need medication for it, or I did until I got on the Juice Plus, and again, it reduced that inflammation in my body and took the pain away. And I'll just add a little sidebar here that I was angry because I was on $7,000 in medication a month to get rid of all of these issues, and it took fruits and vegetables and berries in a capsule to heal me. Made me mad. So, my husband, when Dr. Tran told me she wanted me to take double, I said, Steve, what do you think? She wants me to take double. And he said, well, I can do that math. Yeah. 7,000 compared to double juice plus. So I've been on double juice plus forever. And I highly recommend that for any of your people that do have autoimmune, because single serving is for healthy people to prevent. Double serving helps sick people get well. So, and then the lupus, which is the big one, and that was the last one that I got diagnosed with. Um, Again, it's when your immune system becomes hyperactive and attacks the healthy tissues. And lupus can affect every organ in your body. It can affect the brain, the skin, the joints, the eyes, the hearts, the lungs, the kidneys, all of it. And the most common form of lupus is SSE, systemic. What's the first word? Systemic something. Oh no, SSE, systemic SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, and that's what I have, and that's the most common and the most severe form of lupus. Mine happened to go into my kidneys. I was always on an antibiotic for an infection, and so it screwed up my microbiome really bad. It also got into my lungs. I have a 70% breathing capacity. I had constant brain fog all the time because it affected my brain. And I would get it affected not my heart, but the muscles and the connective tissue around it. So I was always feeling like I was having a heart attack. The pain was so severe and deep. Um, but yeah, but and all of this used to define me. I mean, that I was the sick girl, that was my life. I was, you know, Karen, the sick one. And now I just look back and I think that was just light years away. I cannot believe, and I can't stress this enough, I cannot believe that it took fruits, vegetables, and berries and omegas to make me human again, and I'm no longer identifying myself as that sick girl. Like I now have this thriving business and lots of new friends, and my life has just completely changed just because of this. So that's why I do this. And that's why I continue to do this, because I know what I do, I'm saving people's lives. And it saved mine, literally.
Wow. It doesn't matter how many times I've heard that story. Your story, it just reminds me how what we do matters. We're changing people's lives. And I know at times we can get, kind of weary in well doing. But when you hear that story, it's such a jolt in the arm to say, okay, how many people out there can I impact? And simply by sharing Juice Plus with them. And so, I mean, that you wonder how many people have autoimmune diseases and they really don't even know they have them.
Because right now there are 80 to 150 known autoimmune diseases. Doesn't that blow your mind?
Yeah. And do you want to hear something funny? I have a nurse practitioner that lives across the street from me, and she was chronically ill. And I saw her butterfly rash on her face. And I said, "Have you ever had an ANA done?" And she said, "No." And I said, "You probably should." Well, her ANA ended up, mine, go back, anti-nuclear antibody. The normal test for an ANA is 1 in 40 rinsing in the blood cells to see where you no longer see antibodies in the blood. Then the next step is 1 in 80, then 1 in 160, then 1 in 320, and then 1 in 640. And that's what I was. This girl is 1 in 320. And she didn't even know she's a nurse. And
Wow.
knowing this information is important because you can, and she was chronically tired and she does burn it at both ends of the candle. But I kept the more I talked to her, the more symptoms I realized she had, and she did her ANA test notes 1 in 320. So they're working on that lupus diagnosis.
Allison just said, I'm thinking an online event on autoimmune would be great. And I would agree with her. And I want to really this year focus, and maybe that's what we do, is we go through all these different health issues. And I want to say, guys, help us build this library that I just showed you. And then let's really commit to doing an event every month on a particular topic like this. We get the research behind it, and we just share it with people who maybe don't even really know. They know they just feel bad, but they don't really know what's going on. And I think sometimes, especially with autoimmune diseases, they can creep up on you and you just chalk it up to age or this, that, and the other. And people don't really realize what's going on and the fact that Juice Plus can really help them. So
I think that's
let me,
Elaine, because
yeah.
um, psoriasis is considered
Mm,
autoimmune.
mm,
Talking when you and I were talking yesterday, we were talking about most people that we knew that had it when we were going through the diseases. It was that's things that women get. But then we got to talking. Like my girlfriend's dad had myasthenia gravis, where he couldn't. I mean, it attacked his eyes and everything. And Graves' disease and celiac. I mean, all of those inflammatory bowel disease. I was talking with Karen, and I said I probably had that too. I never went to the bathroom more than every had a bowel movement more than every 3 weeks, the
mm.
years and years before Juice Plus. So that was, a big part of it. So there's a lot, like you were saying, that people, they just figure, like you said, it's aging, or everybody has this or something. And then I think about with Trina, how coming out of the vent for 21 days and being left to die, and Juice Plus is what saved her life too.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, we have such a powerful, we have an answer, and I think most of us spend our lives looking for answers.
All right, so I'm gonna pass out some homework this week, so that we really kind of nail down what we just heard. And I'm gonna challenge each of us to come here, print off the tips, talking points, really kind of spend some time reviewing those every day so you got them in your head. I'm going to challenge you guys to watch at least one of these videos this week. So print off the talking points, watch one of these videos, and I'm going to challenge you guys to print out the abstract of each of these 4 research studies on Juice Plus. Read through it and get a few key talking points from the research. And now here's what I want us all to do. Well, before we do it, we'll take a few moments to ask questions, but I want us to really think through, who do you know that suffers with an autoimmune disease? And let's really begin utilizing, like right now, this one, hold on a second. This video here is one of my absolute favorites. I've sent it out to a lot of people. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start sending it to people that I've connected with in the past. So It is phenomenal. I don't know how anyone who listens to that doesn't get on Juice Plus. I really don't. And so let's let's take a couple minutes and let's make a game plan for this week. We've got our homework, print off the talking points, watch at least one video, and let's reach out to 10 people and share one of those videos with them this week. Before we get off, we're going to, start. I've got, go to your memory jogger, go to your Facebook, go to your calendar. Who do you know that needs this information? Who's suffering and they don't need to be suffering? I mean, as Karen told her story, what she was like, I mean, I remember you saying you only got out of bed about 3 hours a day. Isn't that what you said?
At the end, yeah, I was in bed most days. Yeah.
And
I
I know,
had maybe 2 days that I was up out of bed.
and I
And
know, Brenda, you've said you'd lay in bed just going through all your whole body, what was aching before you got out of bed.
I,
You
I
probably had
couldn't,
to go to work.
I never slept at night because every time I moved, it would, my body was so inflamed. Actually, I was driving an hour away once a month to the doctor on the west side of Indianapolis. He said I had one of the most inflamed bodies he'd ever seen.
Wow. Wow.
And I was taking 50 supplements a day and 15 and 13 prescriptions at that point.
Wow.
If you
All
get
right.
to 70 that I am on no prescriptions and I feel great every day, people that rocks people's world because they expect me to have one foot in the grave. It's so funny.
Wow. All right. So any questions before we, oh, okay. Lucian, you got your hand up.
Yeah, listening to these stories, Jelaine can probably mimic them 100%.
Mm.
She got bit by a tick, got the tick Lyme disease, which caused her to get lupus, osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis. And for what they were saying about spending time in bed, she would stand at the kitchen sink and do dishes for 10 minutes and then have to spend the next 4 days in bed recuperating from that. And all of that led to her taking all kinds of medications. She was on 15 prescriptions. And I'm convinced that one of them in particular is what caused her breast cancer. And no medical people argue with me on that. They don't admit it, but they don't argue or deny. And at that point in time, that's where that was big turnaround in our life, because that's the day of her final surgery is when we started taking Juice Plus, both of us. And
Well,
it's been a totally different world since then.
Lucian, I think you've just volunteered, you and Jelaine, to maybe be on our autoimmune call. How about that? Would y'all do that?
We can. I have a cancer story myself. I was supposed to die back in 2005, and I'm still here.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's amazing.
I will volunteer both of us, and I'll take the beating from Jelaine for doing that later on.
And I would love for Jelaine to tell her story about Luminate when she was finishing up her coaching. I mean, that I tell that story all the time. That's amazing.
All right. I can't wait to, okay. So y'all stay on at the end of the call and let's see if we can't find a evening to do a online event for autoimmune disease, because these stories are so inspiring. And it's like the fact that we know what Juice Plus has done with our health is just, we need to share it. We need to share it. So that's exciting. I'm excited about this call. Let's see. Susan's saying rejoicing with all of you.
I have a
Been
question.
healed, to God be the glory. Amen.
Amen. Amen to that.
I agree. Okay. Any other questions?
Dale
Okay.
has
I,
one.
Dale has
yeah,
one.
I got here just a few minutes late. I'm so sorry. I'm on Team Extreme drop mark. Where did you get the
Under
videos?
under the
Mhm.
tools section,
Under tools, okay.
and then go to autoimmune. And so what we're gonna do, I'll go pull that back up. What we're gonna do is build this out. So we've got the autoimmune disease. If you've got any kind of videos or things that you send to people with autoimmune diseases, please send them to Brenda or me, and we'll get it added. And what we want to do is just keep building these libraries. Next week let me see what's next. Next week, I think we'll probably tackle anti-aging. That'll be a great one to do as well. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly interested in that one. The older I get, the more that's an important topic to me. And so maybe what we do is just, this is where we really do each month, we do an online event based on what we've learned. So anyway,
The other thing, Elaine, is
yes.
corporate has started a special that goes from today through the 17th. It's called the Heart and Mind Bundle, which is 2 boxes of Luminate and an Omega. And it's $98. You save $45.
Ooh, okay. We'll have to get that put on box.
Yeah, I've got it on here. I'm going to put it on this afternoon. It comes out at 3 on Here's to Your Health. And like I said, it's just for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, awesome. That gives us some what a great I love that they're giving us this, these deals like this. It gives us talking points also to share with people.
Elaine, could you share really quickly your Luminate story? Because I think it's so powerful.
As long as you don't mind that I don't quite talk right. I just had a tooth pulled, so you'll have to put up with But so Lumina came out just about the time that I started my certification for my health and wellness coach. So I had brain fog, from the autoimmune diseases and things like that. So I was taking on a challenge that I just decided that I would do, but Lumina came out. I'm like, oh, great, I'm gonna try this stuff. So I started out drinking it twice a day. In the morning, would have a hot glass, and then in the afternoon, I would have a cold one. And there's times when we were doing papers and studies and all sorts of things for our tests and everything. I tend to squirrel because when you have brain fog, you tend to squirrel and you don't have a lot of focus. So with Illuminate, I started realizing that I could sit here at the computer sometimes for 8 hours just studying and going through all my notes and everything and stay focused. No squirreling, no brain fog. It was going in. And I found that I had the energy, calm focus. It's amazing how I felt that calm focus. So what happened was I was able to, ace out my class, finished it, got my certification. It was a big accomplishment for somebody who was as sick as I was, or has, working out of some things. But the funny thing is I had a physical at the doctor. Never thought twice, because of course there were no studies done on Luminate, right? So you don't know what to expect. So I walked into the doctor's office. They took my blood pressure, and everybody that goes to the doctor's office, their blood pressure is a little bit elevated. Maybe not high, but a little bit. Well, the woman took my blood pressure and it was absolute perfect. I mean, absolute perfect, the one that they hope for, And so they were like, the girl goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? She said, you have absolute perfect blood pressure. She said, so what have you been doing? What have you changed? And I'm like, the only thing I've done is taken this Luminate. And she goes, well, give me your card. I want to go look and see what this stuff is. So I told her about it. So then I'm waiting for the doctor to come in, and she comes in. She's got all my blood work and, all my stuff. And the first words out of her mouth were, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm really getting in trouble. What am I doing? What am I doing? I said, the only thing that I've changed since the last time I saw you was Luminate. So I told her a little bit about it, and she said, your cholesterol and everything is perfect. Your blood pressure is perfect. There's so many things in your blood that has changed. She said, give me your card. I'm going to go research this. I want to see. She said, because the numbers in your blood work don't lie. She said, and your numbers are really great. So I can attribute that your change of doing the Luminate. So yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Didn't she
I never
say,
expected.
didn't she tell you that there was no prescription that could do what
Yeah,
Luminate?
oh, yeah. So yeah, I forgot that part. So as Brenda said, she said to me, she said, I put people on cholesterol medication, and she said, there is no prescription that
Mhm.
could have given you such perfect results as I see right now. And that's what she said. I have never had these results putting a client on a prescription that I have seen in your results. So yeah.
Did you get her as a partner?
She isn't a partner yet. We're still
Not
working.
yet.
We talk about it all the time. It takes some time to she went through some serious changes. They shut down the whole clinic and they gave the doctors like 2 weeks notice.
Notice.
It was a huge 900 doctors, I don't know, it was a
There
huge,
was,
and they shut
yeah,
the
there was over
thing
90
down.
doctors and had over, I don't know, like
Yeah.
6,000 patients, and they gave
Yeah.
everybody 2 weeks notice. Bye, see you, we're out of here, we're done, we're
Right.
gone.
Yeah,
Big,
and then
big corporate.
they shut down all of
Big
the records.
corporate. They weren't making enough money, so they shut them all down.
Yeah.
So Jillian and I, we both have the same doctor for primary care, and we both talked to her, but with all the drama and everything about getting shut down, and now she's basically starting her new practice from scratch all over again. But she does question us, and she is very interested every time either one of us goes to see her.
Yep.
So
Well,
I think she
you'll have to
will.
keep dripping on her for sure.
Yeah.
I think she will, but I think she just needs to, get her practice back together,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
Just that line,
good.
that Luminate did something that no prescription can do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't argue with that.
No,
So were you on any kind of heart medication before?
no, I haven't been on any medication since I started Juice Plus 9 years ago. I
But
was,
you were having high triglycerides before Luminate?
no, she just saw an extreme change in all my blood work, making it a lot better. I was never on any medication for cholesterol or heart problems, but just the numbers, in my blood work got
got
real
better.
clean.
Yeah, we were both borderline for prescriptions.
Yeah.
And if we would have said yes, they would have gave them to us, but we never said yes.
Mhm.
And our numbers keep coming down, so we're glad we said no.
Good.
That's exciting. That revs me up.